What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so look, before I get into this video, I want to give a big shout out to the brother Brendan Olson for the $20 donation via the Cash App. Much respect to you. Once again, showing love to Too Raw for TV. Longtime subscriber, has shown love multiple times to this channel. All right, so I want to talk again about one of the. Well, look, Michael Jordan really didn't have any weaknesses. Okay, in the era that he played in, he didn't really have any weaknesses. In the weaknesses, in the areas of his game that it might have been somewhat weak when he first came to the league, he worked on those. He worked on his defense. He worked on his mid-range. He worked to expand his range to three-point range. You know what I'm saying? In the era in which he played in, three-point shot was not as significant a part of the game as it became by 2010 and beyond, especially today. But, you know, the guy had it all, man. You know, he had the athleticism. He had the post game. He had the mid-range. He had the outside. He had the ISO game. He was a team player. He was a great rebounder for a guard. He was a great defender. He was an underrated passer. He was a great leader. And he was a winner. But people like to take his game and look at it in the context of today and say, oh, well, you know, he really wasn't all that because he didn't have the bag, which to me, people just regurgitate that phrase and don't even know what it says. They don't even know what they're saying. They're just regurgitating other talking points that other people have made. And what do you mean he don't have a bag? What are you talking about? He does. Well, he only shot 32% from three. That's not all that great, man. You know, Steph Curry's in the 40s. Klay Thompson's in the... Okay, you're talking about one aspect of the game which, when he played, was not nearly as impactful as today. So let's talk about this again. Michael Jordan shot 32.7% from three-point range in his NBA career. Now, compared to today, that three-point percentage is not that good. It's not that good. But we need to look at that in the context of when he played, right? The era in which he played. The average three-point percentage today is over 36%. Okay? It's over 36%. That's the average. To be fair, LeBron James' career three-point percentage is around 34.9%, which is below average for the era in which he played in. But I could also say, in fairness to LeBron James, when he came into the NBA in 2003, the three-point shot, while becoming more prominent, still was not the staple that it is today. So it's unfair to look at his percentage in the context of what guys are doing post, you know, guys came in the league after 2010, 2011, 2012. You see what I'm saying? In the 1990s, Jordan shot 37% from three. So basically in the 80s, a lot of times because Michael Jordan had the ball in his hands a lot, there were many times when many of those misses were, say, forced shots with the shot clock running down, you know, just bad looks in general, you know, probably in situations where he was being double teamed and he was forced into a bad shot. If you look at most of the threes he took in the early part of his career, It was when he was wide open. And if you'll notice, they weren't really guarding him. And why? Because A, the 3-point shot was not that important in the 80s. Like on average, teams were taking like maybe 6 or 7 a game. And B, he was not noted for being a mid-range shooter. And that's why when he's shooting threes, people go, "Oh man, the defense is horrible." No, they're guarding him for the drive, because the pre-1991 version of Michael Jordan, if you picking your poison, you'll let him shoot threes all day. What you don't want is that dude driving to the basket. He breaks down the defense that way. Plus, being an underrated passer, you don't know what he's going to do. You don't know whether he's going to rise up and try to yam it. He's probably going to draw the foul if he goes all the way to the cup. And then when he's driving to the basket, guys can be cutting to the basket for a dump in for, he could try to dump it to them for a layup or whatever, a easier shot, or he could pitch it outside for a man to take a open jumper, or from 3-point range, John Paxson, Craig Hodges, what have you, right? So you rather have him shoot from outside, being that he was only shooting probably 15, 18% from 3 back then. But he worked on that shot as the 3-point shot became more important in the NBA by the late 80s, early 90s. Okay? Another thing I want to point out before I compare him to some other players, perimeter players for the most part, who you tend to forget were not all that great and much worse than Michael Jordan when it comes to 3-point percentage. But we think of them as great scorers and great shooters. One other point I want to make is that in the seasons in which Michael Jordan attempted 3 or more 3-point attempts, combined, in those seasons, he shot 38.5% from 3. That's above league average today, and well above league average when he played. Because when he's played, the league average is probably around 33, 34%. In the NBA Finals, I believe he shot 36.8% from 3. So what I'm getting at is, in the 90s, he was a far improved 3-point shooter. But let's go with his career 3-point percentage of 32.7%. That percentage is better than Dominique Wilkins. Dominique Wilkins is known as a slasher, right? But as his career progressed, he got better from outside. He shot 31.9%. It's better than Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson shot 31.3%. Right? It's better than DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan shot 29.8% from 3-point range. It's better than Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade, 29.3% from downtown. It's better than Clyde Drexler. Clyde shot 31.8% from downtown. It's better than George Gervin. George Gervin shot 29.7% from downtown. It's better than Gary Payton, who shot 31.7% from downtown. Better than Tony Parker, who shot 32.4% from downtown. Better than Isaiah Thomas, who shot 29% from downtown. Better than Magic Johnson, who shot 30.3% from downtown. Better than Mark Aguirre, who shot 31.2% from downtown. That's better than Monta Ellis, who shot 31.4% from 3-point range. 31.4%. Better than Jerry Stackhouse, Okay. Jerry Stackhouse shot 30.9% from downtown. Better than John Morant. John Morant, 31.7% from downtown. But nobody talks about how he's not a good three-point shooter. Not really. You don't hear people, oh, he's horrible. No, you don't tend to hear that. And if you do hear it, they'll say, well, he's improved. But you don't see that or hear that with Michael Jordan from them, you know. Better than this guy, Stephon Marbury, 32.5% from downtown. Better than Marcus Smart, who's part of this era, right? 32.2% from downtown. Better than Andre Miller, 21.7%. Horrible, actually, from three-point range. Horrible. Better than him, Ricky Rubio. Ricky Rubio, 32.4%. Guy that's supposed to be a walking bucket. Michael Jordan's three-point percentage is better than his. Better than Antoine Walker. Now, you may recall, those of you who watched Antoine Walker, 32.5% from downtown. Antoine Walker was supposed to be one of the prolific outside shooters of his generation, right? But his best three-point season, if I remember correctly, was, I think, when he played with Miami. I think it was the year they won the championship. I believe he shot 35.8% from three that year. That's his best three-point percentage in a season. Michael Jordan's best three-point percentage in a full season was the 95-96 season when he shot 42.7% from downtown. 42.7%. That's better than any season that LeBron James has had. And better that year than a multitude. The 95-96 season, Jordan shot better from three-point range than many prolific three-point shooters in the league at that time, including Reggie Miller, Glenn Rice, and a multitude of others. Let's continue. For his career, he shot better than this guy. This is the one that was shocking. Better for his career than Eddie Johnson. Eddie Johnson was a bucket. I mean, Eddie Johnson was one of the great shooters of his generation, right? Over 19,000 career points. But Eddie Johnson, for his career, shot 32.6% from three. But you know what that is? Like Michael Jordan, he was always a great mid-range shooter, but he improved from his three-point range as his career progressed. So that toward the 90s, he was a great three-point shooter. But you know, the early years when he struggled with that shot, and when he didn't shoot as many, but he struggled, it killed his percentage. But when you try to tell a certain fan base, like LeBron fans, that about Jordan, they don't want to hear that. You know? But they'll tell you that about LeBron. Well, LeBron couldn't shoot at first, man, but he got better, man. So that's why the percentage. Oh, okay, but you don't understand about Michael Jordan, though. Jordan shot better than this guy from outside, Fat Lever. Fat Lever, 31% for his career. Now, mind you, these are guys he played against. I'm not, comparing him to guys that played in the 70s, a little bit of the 80s. No, these are guys that he played against in his career, and including some guys that came after him. Better than Baron Davis. Baron Davis shot 32% from downtown in his career. Better than Penny Hardaway, the guy that many people thought would end up not surpassing Jordan, but taking the mantle from Jordan as the best guard in the NBA. 31.6% from downtown in his NBA career. 31.6%. Sidney Moncrief, great player, great guard. I'm naming guys who, for the most part, play the perimeter guy. I'm not like trying to compare him to stretch fours for the most part. These are guards. This is Sidney Moncrief, 28.4% from downtown. But you don't see people trying to knock him for being a great player. KJ, Kevin Johnson. Michael Jordan shot a better three-point percentage than him. KJ shot 30.5% from downtown in his NBA career. Now, this is one power forward, Derek Coleman. But Derek Coleman is considered one of the first stretch bigs. This is a guy Charles Barkley once said had all the tools to be the greatest power forward of all time. He has so much potential, which he didn't live up to. But 29.5% from downtown. John Wall, who came after Michael Jordan, right? 32.2% from three-point range in his career. Jordan's percentage is slightly better, right? The recently retired Derrick Rose. Yes, Michael Jordan has a better three-point percentage than Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose, 31.6% for downtown in his career. And last but certainly not least, because there's a multitude of players I can put on here, but I don't want to make this video too long. Scottie Pippen, the guy that the LeBron fan base loves to say was the better player, the better defender, the better rebounder, the better passer, and erroneously, the better shooter, which the stats don't seem to ever even remotely suggest. Scottie Pippen, during his NBA career, shot 32.6% from three-point range, just a hair below Michael Jordan. So, what are you guys talking about here when you say that he shot better? He was a better shooter. The stats don't prove it at all. Don't even show that. So, this is all just to, I did all this to indicate that at the end of the day, to use Michael Jordan's three-point percentage as if it's some type of anomaly, as if it's so vastly inferior to other players of his era, is cap. It's cap. And then, you're going to have people saying, oh, well, he still wasn't an elite shooter. Well, no, that's not the argument you made. The argument you made is that he was horrible. Then when me and anybody else bring up a multitude of players, really good and great players, even Hall of Fame players, guys who were perimeter players who didn't have the same accuracy from outside that he did, then you move the goalposts. Oh, well, he wasn't an elite shooter, though. He still didn't have the overall outside game that he's got. Man, shut up, man. At the end of the day, Jordan was a tremendous player, man. And even his outside shooting in the respect of the era that he played in was really good. And I noticed on the highest stage, he became a great three-point shooter. Remember, we all know in 1992 NBA Finals, we were comparing him and Clyde Drexler. They said, oh, these guys are equal on every footing, except Clyde was a better three-point shooter. And we saw what Michael Jordan did at the beginning of that game to completely squash that perception. And as he said before, I could have taken a lot more threes, but I didn't want to fall in love with that shot because he felt that shot was fool's gold. And we see it all the time. We see there are games when dudes can, look, what did we just see with Victor Wembanyama? He had a game where he hit 8 threes, right? 50 points. But he's going to have a whole lot of games where he goes 1 for 12 points. Why? Because there are nights when those shots go in. You're like the greatest shooter God has ever created. But unless you're Steph Curry or Klay Thompson or Reggie Miller or one of these elite, rare guys, that shot can be the shot for a fool. But anyway, that's all I got to say about it. Tell me what you guys think.